Grandma, Mom stopped moving. What should we do? A late-night call from my granddaughter woke me from my sleep. When I asked the crying and distraught child, "What happened to your dad?" I received an unexpected answer.
He kicked Mom's stomach, and then he went somewhere.
I rushed to my granddaughter's home to find a shocking sight. My daughter had collapsed and was unconscious. After an emergency trip to the hospital, I was told an unbelievable story. How could he do this to my precious daughter? I won't forgive him. At that moment, I decided to take revenge on my son-in-law. I am Emily. I am 65 years old and recently retired from the company I had worked at for many years. My husband passed away a few years ago and I now live alone. My only daughter's name is Catherine. She works at a bank. 7 years ago, she married Tom, who works for the government, and they have a lovely daughter, Karen, who is now 5 years old. My son-in-law, Tom, is gentle and trustworthy, so I felt safe leaving my daughter and granddaughter in his care. They live about 30 minutes away by car, and they often visit with Karen, providing us with many enjoyable moments. One day, as Catherine and Karen visited, we sipped tea and watched Karen play. I had a question for Catherine. Has Tom changed his department at work recently? Yes, he moved to the future division of Health and Welfare Center last month. Is that related to child rearing support? It seems so, but he's been very busy and works late every night. I used to think working for the government lets you leave on time, but it seems that's not the case anymore. Considering Tom's gentle nature, I thought welfare and child rearing support work might suit him perfectly. I see. It must be tough with all the overtime. I know you're busy too, but please support Tom. If you need help with daycare pickups, I can assist. Just let me know. Catherine smiled and said, "Thank you," and left with Karen. After that conversation, Catherine rarely visited, and the only message I received was, "Sorry, I've been too busy to stop by." I didn't want to interfere too much in their lives. As long as they were happy, that was enough for me. But one day, while out shopping, I coincidentally saw Tom. He was in a suit, getting into a government car with a young woman seated next to him. Catherine had mentioned that Tom sometimes went out for work, so I assumed he was on duty. I just silently cheered him on and didn't think much of it. About a month later, on a Sunday, I had an errand near Catherine's home, so I thought I'd stop by, but no matter how long I waited, there was no response to my message. Feeling uneasy, I decided to visit without waiting for a reply. I rang the doorbell, and Catherine's voice came through immediately. "Mom, why are you here all of a sudden?" She seemed surprised that I had reached out. I explained that I was in the area and thought I'd visit. Catherine went silent. Then I heard Tom's voice.
"Emily, could you wait a moment? The place is a bit messy."
"Oh, Tom, I'm sorry for the sudden visit."
"It's okay. We'd be happy if you saw Karen too."
I waited at the entrance for a while, and after about 5 minutes, the front door opened. Seeing Catherine, I was at a loss for words. Compared to when I saw her 3 months ago, she had lost a lot of weight and looked like a completely different person. "Catherine, what happened? You've lost so much weight." "I just thought I'd lose some weight. I was on a diet." However, I felt uneasy. At that moment, Tom came with a smile, holding slippers. "Thank you, Tom." As I entered the living room, Karen ran up excitedly.
"Grandma, you came!"
I naturally smiled, seeing my granddaughter after so long. Karen took my hand and suggested we play pretend. While participating, I enjoyed some casual conversation with Catherine and Tom. Suddenly, during the game Karen was engrossed in, the coffee which was given to me fell. The coffee was cold, but just to ensure there were no burns, I checked Karen's clothes. And right then I saw a painful bruise. "Catherine, how did she get this bruise?" Looking at Catherine, she was at a loss for words and looked shocked. However, Tom calmly adjusted the sleeve back.
"It seems she bumped into something while playing. It's okay."
"I'm fine now."
So I decided to trust their words. Catherine took her daughter to the room to change, but didn't come back immediately. After a while, Tom went to check on them, and then all three returned to the living room. "Mom, we have something to do soon and need to go out."
"Oh, I see. Sorry for dropping by suddenly."
As I got up to leave, the family saw me off at the entrance. I patted Karen's head and said, "Let's play together again soon," and greeted Tom before reluctantly departing. At that time, I noticed Catherine's gloomy expression and was worried, but decided not to pry. Several weeks later, in the middle of the night, my cell phone suddenly rang. The name Catherine appeared on the screen. Sleepily answering, I unexpectedly heard Karen's crying voice.
"Grandma, Mom isn't moving. What should I do?"
"What? Karen, what happened? Where's Dad?"
"He kicked Mom's stomach, then he left somewhere."
I asked, "Can I talk to your mom?" But Karen only continued to cry. Sensing the urgency, I quickly told her, "Don't lock the front door." Then I immediately drove to Catherine's house. Arriving at the house, I rushed to the living room. Catherine was lying motionless and didn't respond to my voice. Karen kept crying next to her. Tom was nowhere to be seen. I quickly called an ambulance. As it arrived, I took Karen and headed to the hospital. An unsettling atmosphere lingered in the car, and anxiety mounted. Upon arriving at the hospital, all we could do was wait for Catherine's treatment to be completed. I prayed for Catherine's safety while stroking Karen's back. "Karen, please listen closely. Can you tell me what happened to Mom and Dad?"
"Yes, I woke up because there were loud voices, and then I saw Mom and Dad were fighting. It seemed like Dad was angry at Mom."
"And then? What happened?"
"I wanted to protect Mom, so I went towards her. Then Dad got angry and tried to hit me like he always does. But Mom protected me."
I was at a loss for words. The phrase, "like he always does," implied that there might have been abuse from Tom towards Catherine and Karen from before. When I asked Karen for more details, she nodded and continued to speak. According to Karen's explanation, Catherine was thrown around by Tom while protecting Karen, and when Catherine fell, Tom kicked her stomach violently. Tom quickly left the house, and because Catherine didn't move at all, Karen, who got scared, called me for help.
"Dad told me, if you tell anyone that Dad hit you, you'll never see Mom again. Now that I've told Grandma, can I never see Mom again?"
Knowing what was in her heart, I couldn't hold back tears. Karen, with her tiny body, had endured so much, desperately holding back all the hardships she's been through. "Karen, you've really been strong up until now. It must have been scary, but you don't have to worry about anything anymore." I never expected to see this unthinkable side from the usually gentle Tom. I would have never thought he could be violent towards Catherine and Karen. However, it didn't seem like Karen was lying, and considering the possibility that Tom had been regularly violent towards them, things added up considering Catherine's recent condition and Karen's bruises. Amidst all this, the doctor who had been treating Catherine came to us and began explaining her condition in detail. According to the doctor, Catherine had bleeding in her abdominal cavity, and there was a high risk of organ rupture. Therefore, emergency surgery was essential. The doctor bluntly said to us,
"It's a very dangerous situation. Please, be prepared."
Despite numerous calls trying to get Tom's consent for the surgery, I couldn't reach him. In the end, I filled out the consent form and went with the surgery, but I was trembling with anxiety and anger outside the operating room, clenching my fist tightly in rage. How dare he do this to my precious daughter? I will not forgive him. At that moment, I planned to corner Tom and make sure he was punished. Suddenly, I noticed Karen, who had fallen asleep leaning on me, was holding Catherine's mobile phone. When I checked its contents, I found astonishing evidence. After that, Catherine's surgery was successful, but due to the effects of the anesthesia, she didn't regain consciousness for a while, and her condition remained critical. I entrusted Karen to a trustworthy friend and kept praying by Catherine's bedside. Then, just before noon, Tom appeared in the hospital room, looking all calm.
Emily, I apologize. Despite receiving the message, I was busy with my work.
Huh? Work? There's no way. More importantly, what have you done to Catherine? Tom frowned at my angry tone, but he soon found words to defend himself.
I don't know what you're talking about, but Catherine fell on her own. I was at work at the time, and the details are unclear.
When I told him that I knew everything from my granddaughter's story, Tom laughed mockingly.
Please, stop suspecting me. Do you believe every word from your granddaughter who's just a child?
Still trying to run away, I see. My anger unabated, I muttered in a low voice. I can't believe you're trying to make such excuses. Was it really work? Or were you spending time with your mistress? Tom frowned in displeasure and seemed ready to argue back.
Emily, stop joking like that. I was working late for my wife and my daughter, and yet you suspect me of such things?
Although Tom tried to deny it, I showed him the photos on Catherine's mobile phone. Are you still going to make excuses even after seeing this? In Catherine's phone were images providing proof of Tom's affair. Photos of him kissing a young woman and entering a hotel, and that woman was someone I had seen in town before.
Why do you have these?
There's more. There was also a diary in Catherine's phone.
What?
It seems like she noticed a change in your attitude towards her and Karen after your department changed, and hired a private investigator to investigate.
She never mentioned anything about that.
In Catherine's diary, it was written that when she confronted Tom about his affair 2 months ago, he raised his hand against her. But that wasn't all. Catherine's diary detailed how Tom's violence escalated day by day, eventually leading to an incident where Karen got injured. Furthermore, I learned that Catherine, not wanting to trouble me and fearing threats from Tom, couldn't talk to me about it. She had been suffering in loneliness, resolved to somehow regain custody, borrowed money, and had hired an investigator to gather evidence of Tom's affair. Her recent diary read as follows. I finally gathered evidence of Tom's affair. I'm going to demand for a divorce today. Judging from this diary, it seems that during a discussion about divorce between Catherine and Tom, Tom kicked Catherine in the stomach, leading to the current situation. When I conveyed this to Tom, he suddenly began to get agitated.
You're mistaken. This is a misunderstanding.
To this, I got really angry and I finally raised my voice. Excuse me? What exactly did I misunderstand? You cheated. You hurt my daughter and my granddaughter. And you still intend to settle this as if nothing happened? Although Tom continued to be agitated, he gestured as if to say,
Well, let's calm down for a moment. Emily, shouldn't we forget about this for everyone's sake? My work and family are important to me. If this gets out, I'll lose my job, and it may cause even more pain for Karen. Let's discuss this calmly, shall we?
What are you talking about? It's already too late.
What did you say?
I've informed your workplace about your affair, as well as the injuries you caused to Catherine and Karen, providing evidence as well. Not only evidence of infidelity, but Catherine had also recorded on her voice recorder when Tom raised his hand against her. And I compiled that audio file into an email and sent it to his workplace.
Do you not understand that doing such a thing will get me fired immediately? It will only make everyone miserable.
When Tom, trembling with anger, approached me, I calmly confronted him. The future division of the Health and Welfare Center supports mothers and children in difficult situations, right? What's wrong with consulting them about what truly happened? Tom lost his words in response to my question. Then his cell phone rang. Tom answered the call, muttered something while turning pale, and then, shaking with anger, spoke to me in a fierce tone.
I was yelled at by my boss. What are you going to do about it, you old hag?
His face distorted with rage, he began to lash out. I pushed Tom away. We've obtained a medical certificate for Catherine's severe injury this time, you know. We will also submit a damage report to the police, so bear that in mind.
What? Police? You old hag, you're...
Tom glared at me with a demonic expression, but at that moment, Catherine woke up and spoke in a raspy voice.
Tom, I will raise Karen, so let's get a divorce.
The moment she spoke, hospital staff who had heard the commotion came rushing over. I explained the whole situation and had them report him to the police. Tom was restrained and taken away by the police. After that, Catherine recovered and her divorce from Tom was finalized. She demanded compensation from Tom and his mistress, and he was arrested on suspicion of assault against Catherine and Karen. In addition to what I had exposed, Tom, who had already been under scrutiny for his work attitude and due to the whole upheaval, faced suspension at work. The trial is ongoing, and if he is sentenced to prison, he won't be spared from disciplinary action. Furthermore, I heard he was abandoned by his own family and friends. The woman he had an affair with, having her relationship with him, became public at work. Eventually had no choice but to quit her job. Afterwards, with the compensation she received, Catherine repaid her debts and returned to my house with Karen. Catherine began to show smiles little by little, and I am spending joyful days with Karen. From now on, looking forward to Karen's growth, I want to live a peaceful life.